almost February. Are you still excited about the new year? We have to, like, just think of the spiritual credit we gain every time we wake up in the morning and go somewhere. I mean, that's, people in San Diego can't really say that. They don't even watch the weather out there, And here we are, ready for several more inches of snow tonight, and we're at church today. We are awesome. I shared a few weeks ago the story about my daughter Rosalie, who's now 22, but when she was 4, we had taken her to this indoor play place that was like this big warehouse of amazing hamster contraptions that kids can crawl through, right? Nets and tunnels and slides and all sorts of things to climb on. And my parents were with us, and my mom and I were in this one area watching Rosalie as she had hooked in another child into her world in her vibrant and eccentric way that she does things. And she pulled them in, and we saw them running by, and we heard Rosalie say, "Hurry! Let's do it again before I lose my not afraid." That was so awesome. Mom and I looked at each other and went, "Yeah, I want my not afraid too." I love that. I love that. We're talking about courage today. Last week we talked about compassion. Today we're talking about courage, and we're really building up some skills so that I'm going to be speaking for a couple more weeks. So, hopefully, we were talking between services, and it's like, I'm running out of clothes to wear on Sunday. I've got to get this new minister in here, man. It's time. My wardrobe can't take this. But we're building up so that you have the skills that you need to embrace what's yours to embrace for this year. We got our white stone, and whether you're working with your white stone as your goal for the year, or if you have other projects that you're working on that you're embracing, there are skills that we need. We need that self-compassion, that mindfulness, that awareness, that presence, because we're going to have to stretch and grow. Whether you've come up with something to do this year or not, life will just require you to stretch and grow in some way, shape, or form. So to be able to do that with compassion, but we also need courage. We need that courage. We need that not afraid to embrace what's ours to embrace and work with what comes up for us to work with. And the thing that stands in our way most of the time is emotion of some sort. Some label, some feeling, some sensation, it's emotion. So when we can learn how to work with our emotions that come up and not be afraid of them. Probably most of us in this room were taught while we were growing up that emotions are not to be dealt with, even though they're expressed in funky ways sometimes. But they're not to be addressed, they're not to be touched, they're not to be talked about. You just let it go and move forward. And that is not how we operate as human beings, which is why therapists like me exist in this world. Because somebody's got to teach us how to do it. So, when we're dealing with our fears about embracing something new, we need to understand that excitement and fear, the physiology, the physical reaction to excitement and fear, come from the same area in the brain. The exact same in the limbic system, a little area that starts our fight, flight, or freeze mode, whether we're excited or afraid. And we may react differently depending on where we're coming from, but the physiology is the same. So the only difference is how we're holding our emotion. So we can, by our intention, by our conscious intention, and reframing things and switching things, we can change fear into excitement. For example, and I apologize in advance for the graphic example I'm about to use, but say a guy is coming at you with an axe. That's going to elicit a certain physiology, one would hope, in your body to get the heck out of there, to do something to save yourself, right? But put that guy with the axe in a haunted house that you've paid to go in and see, knowing that he's not really allowed to do anything with that axe. It's a whole different story. People pay big bucks for that, right? I am not a haunted house person. I like my physiology on a certain even keel most of the time. But you get my point. So let's put that into a maybe more accessible example. So you're embracing something. Say it's a job interview, a new social group that you want to be part of because you're trying to meet people. Maybe it's cleaning out your basement for the first time in 20 years. Whatever it is, you're embracing a new project and you're going to have an emotional response to that. Some of it may be excitement, some of it may be motivation, some of it may be, all right, let's get this on, I got my courage on, I got my not afraid, we're going to tackle it. But there's probably also the other voice, right? The other voice that's hooked into past things that we've not done the way we think we should have done them, or things that people have told us, or a lot of fake news, right? A lot of fake news in there too going on that it's our job to discern what's what. So when we go in and we're embracing something like a job interview, the voice that can come up sometimes is, oh, what if I don't have the right qualifications? I don't even know why I'm applying for this. They're not going to hire me. Oh, there's going to be so many other people who are so much more qualified than I am. Oh my gosh, what if I say something stupid in the interview? Oh my God, blah, 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 right? So to be able to acknowledge that voice, that's part of our mindfulness. We've got to know what's going on in there and to go, okay, yeah, I'm a little nervous about this. I feel a little afraid, but I'm going to embrace this and look at it as an adventure. I'm going to change my mind about it. And my brain will follow. It's in the same place anyway. I'm just, instead of looking this way at it, I'm looking this way at it. That's all it is. That is so all it is. And then the rest of us follows. When we have that conscious intention, we can say, okay, this is a job interview. If nothing else, it's practice. I'm going to be the best self that I can be. And I'm going to bring my faith into that and know that if that job is for me, I'm going to get it. So I just need to be myself. I need to be open and receptive and ask my questions and go in knowing that, hey, I don't know if this is for me or not, but I've got to ask questions to find out, and you've got to ask questions of me to find out to see if this is going to be a good fit, and the universe is deciding, not the person in the chair across from me. I don't get a vote. That guy doesn't get a vote. The universe already knows if that's mine or not. So I get to walk in it. Maybe I'm still a little nervous, but I can walk into it embracing it. There was a study done in LA with actors who were lined up for an interview, trial, audition, that's what it's called, audition for a commercial. And the researchers were interviewing people to find out what their attitude is about going in and auditioning for this commercial. And what they found was the people who went in with an attitude of, I don't know what's going to happen, I'm just here, it's fun, I love it, it's a crazy commercial, I'm just going to try out and just see what happens, no big deal, I've got 5 others lined up, and if I don't have any lined up, there'll be 5 others by the end of the week, because this is LA and that's what we do here. So, who cares? I'm just having fun. Those people were hired more often than the people who were like, I have to get this job, I have to do my best, I have to force myself into this role and this position, and yeah, I love what I do, but this is about getting the job. And those people, I mean, that comes across, right? That comes across. So being able to work with our emotions and loosen our grip on what's happening is so helpful. And we do that by acknowledging our emotions and processing through them. Greg has been talking to you guys for almost 10 years about the agitated energy process. How many of you remember him saying that once or twice? Okay. So when we first met, he taught me that process, and I still use it. And I use it with my clients, I use it in my practice, I use it with my children. Anytime. It's a great little emotional clearing tool, like tapping, like forgiveness, like all those tools that we need to have, because life isn't about things going our way. Life is about clearing ourselves out so that we can embrace more light and be more light. And then we move through things with less stress, with more intuitive knowledge and understanding, and less trying to force our will on things. So I've made some copies of the Agitated Energy process, and they're sitting out on the table next to the door to fellowship in the hallway. So simple. It's this sheet of paper. It's got a lot of words. 3 questions. 1, what am I feeling? Well, name the emotion. In neuroscience, they say name it to tame it. When we can name what we're feeling in that physiology that's happening in an emotional moment, then instead of it taking us over, it's out here. Oh, I'm feeling scared. Oh, yeah, okay, that's what those feelings are. My heart is beating faster, my palms are sweating, and my stomach is flipping all over the place. I'm feeling scared. Okay, that's the first question. Question number 2. See, that wasn't so hard, was it? The first question, name it. Question number 2. What is the story that's going on around this emotion? What's the fake news that's going on around this emotion? Because there's always a story around it. It's not just the fear, but the reason that we're reacting to the emotion the way we are is because of how we're holding it. And that how we're holding it is our story. And there may be a few factual things mixed in with that emotional piece, but the overall conclusion is usually wrong. It's usually wrong. How we're holding it is usually wrong. It's inaccurate. It's a wrong perception. Okay, so we want to know what it's saying. Oh, what if I screw up? And oh my gosh, I've already been on 50 interviews, and this is going to end up like the same one, and blah blah blah. All those negative, critical conclusions that we come to from an emotional state. When we're feeling clear, we can see things positively. But when that emotion comes up, it clouds our vision, so we have to clear it. We're responsible for clearing it. We're responsible for embracing that and saying, okay, this is what's true, the rest of this is not true. So we want to find out what's not true as much as what's true, because when we find out what's not true, we can say, okay, this is probably a little bit more realistic. Do you know that the truth is more grounded and realistic than our fears? But we don't think that. Our fear makes us think that the false news is the truth. Our fear makes us think that false news, the false story that we're holding is the truth, and it's not. So how messed up is that we're walking around like this because we haven't been taught or encouraged to acknowledge our emotions and use them as tools instead of being afraid of them? It's so sad. All right, so we got to know what that story is so that we can correct ourselves kindly and gently, like that loving parent we talked about last week. So then the third question, what's a new perception I can take that will calm me? What's a new perception I can take that will calm me? And that's just going, okay, given that this is probably false, and here's what is true, well, okay, it's a job interview. Everybody goes on job interviews. Everybody feels nervous. It's okay. I'm going to do my best. And the universe has already decided and knows what flow I need to be in. And if this job is in the flow, then great. And if this job is not in the flow, then I'm going to find that out too, and that is wonderful. And to be able to hold to that, and we might have to remind ourselves of that many times, because that fear kind of keeps bubbling up until we really have mastered it. And then it goes away. Then it goes away. So what are you embracing in your 2019? What's in front of you, your next step? Maybe it's your White Stone ceremony word that came up for you. Maybe it's a project you're working on. Maybe you don't know, but if you don't know, I guarantee you know. And here's what that sounds like. I know I should blank, but that's your step. I know I should clean my basement, but I never have time, or I don't know where to start, or all that story that shows up around it, and embrace it and say, okay, this is what I need to do. Here's the emotion that comes up around it when I think about doing whatever that is. And I have to clear that. That's my job. Before I can clear my basement, I need to clear my mind. Sometimes they go hand in hand. Sometimes we have to clear the basement first. I don't know. It depends. But in that moment, to take our first step, we do need to have a clear mind and intention about it. And the only way we can do that is to acknowledge what's not clear. When it'll be 10 years ago in September, when my family and I had just moved here, and I had graduated a year and a half before that with my master's degree. I was working towards my hours to become licensed as a therapist, and I was applying. When we moved here, I had this beautiful plan for myself. I was going to move here, get my hours towards my license. I needed a few more over here than I did when we lived in Michigan, so I had a lot of extra work to do. And I thought, well, no problem. I'll get a job at a community mental health center and get my hours and have a supervisor on staff and have my little space and do my little thing. And it was a really solid, organized plan. So that was 2009. So if you remember back to what was happening in our financial culture in 2009, it was not a pretty sight. And I got here, nobody was hiring. Nobody. Matter of fact, they were letting people go left and right. So I kept applying. It didn't stop me from trying to force my will on the universe. And I applied and I applied and I applied and I applied. Probably 80 different places I applied in the area, which means I would have to commute, which I had never done before. So I was trying to push so hard, I was even willing to commute for a couple of hours every day so that I could, that's Chicago, right? And here I am complaining about it, but people do that all the time. And nothing was open. Nothing was open. And I remember the day where I was at my computer, receiving my next, we're not hiring now, thank you very much for sharing, email. And I said, okay, I just need to step back from this. I stepped out from the desk. I'm walking in my living room over to the couch. And as I'm walking, I'm saying, God, you told me to get my master's degree, so if you don't want me to work, I won't work. If you want me to work at Target, I'll work at Target. Whatever. I'm here. What do you want me to do? And as I'm sitting down on the couch, in those few moments it took for me to go from standing to sitting, I was downloaded with this beautiful plan for the Interfaith Counseling Center, which is part of Unity Northwest. It's our counseling ministry, if you will, that we reach out and we offer counseling to people on a love offering basis for 3 visits. And then if they want to continue, then we talk about insurance or self-pay or whatever. But those 3 visits are a beautiful blessing, and it has been a blessing. And I had this whole new plan that I could see in an instant. I could see in an instant. And then I had to do something about it, right? I sat down on that couch and I went, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. I'll do it. So then I started calling people and doing what I needed to do to make that happen. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I were still sitting in my desk chair trying to force my will on the universe. I had to be willing to step back and go, I don't know. This isn't working. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What else can I do? I had to ask. Okay, God, I like Target. It's one of my favorite stores. And be open to what else might exist for me to look at. And today, when I was sharing that at the first service, between services, it was hitting me that I hadn't really thought about this, but because I was willing to take action steps on that service to Unity Northwest and service to our surrounding communities to offer that program, a few days later, I'm still kind of throwing things out there. I'm working on this, so I'm not doing it as much as I was before, and definitely not with the attachment. So, but I'm still throwing things out there, and this therapist picture popped up on my screen with his website, and I had seen it in Michigan because I was starting to apply before we even moved and looking into places. And I saw his face in Michigan. I'm like, what a nice person. I can just, like, there's just a vibe, you know? But I didn't apply there because it didn't look like it was a full practice that would be hiring therapists. So I just kind of let it go. But I'm like, wow, that's the kind of thing, that's the kind of vibe I want to put out. So anyway, so after the Interfaith Counseling Center process had begun, I'm like, I don't know. A, I'm out of options, and B, it doesn't hurt to try. So I didn't even send him anything because he didn't have an email address. And so I called and I just left the message I'd been leaving for whoever would listen and just said, hey, I don't know, but I just wanted to throw that out there, that I'm here, if I can, you know, if you have any opportunities, I'm open to that. If I can be of support in any way to you, I'm open to that. And he called within a day, which I did not expect him. I had forgotten that I even left that message because it was so out of my mind. It's like, I don't know, whatever, just throwing this out. And he called and he said, I don't hire therapists in private practice, but come on in and let's see. I've been around the area for a while, and let's see what we can do. Within 20 minutes of meeting with him, he agreed to be my supervisor because I was working toward getting my hours to be licensed in Illinois. I needed a supervisor. He agreed to be my supervisor. He offered me the 2 days in his office that he wasn't there for me to meet with people and start building my practice on just a sliding scale fee, and he gave me a key within 20 minutes. And then after that, I only saw him, I saw him for my meetings, but I didn't see him very often. We didn't connect very often. And I'm like, I don't think you really exist. I think you're actually an angel, and you just show up when I walk in that door. Because it was just such a wonderful opportunity, and that helped me build my practice. But I know if I hadn't been willing to let go of my rigid concept of how things were supposed to go, I wouldn't have been open. I certainly wouldn't have been open to the Interfaith Counseling Center, but that opened a flow. That opened a flow that opened me up to this other possibility that hadn't even crossed my mind either. I didn't know that people would do that, like loan your office to somebody you've never met before for 2 days a week. Are you crazy? You're either crazy or you're an angel. So I had to go with the angel. That's how I chose to think about it. And we're still very good friends. So what is it that you have in your life that you can be embracing and clearing out your old false news that you've stored? Joseph Campbell, author of Hero's Journey, beautiful author and professor of mythology and comparative religions, said, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek." The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. So what cave in your life do you fear to enter? Because that's where your flow, that's where your treasure, that's where your storehouse is going to open up and flow for you better than when you're staying away from it. Either out of fear or out of holding on to your ideas so tightly that you're not open to anything else. There's another saying from the Asaro tribe in New Guinea that goes, "Knowledge is only rumor until you feel it in your bones." Knowledge is only rumor until you feel it in your bones. But here's the deal. We've got a lot stored in our bones that we have to clear out too. We have to clear out the truth from what's false. That's our job. Nobody does that for us. Nobody comes in and says, you know, somebody can tell me, okay, Lynn, you gotta let go. You've applied 80 different places. Don't you think there's a message here for you that nothing has happened? Maybe it's target, maybe it's not, but something's got to change here. And if I weren't so stubborn, maybe I could have got the message after 50 resumes being sent out. So the courage is really less about the thing that we have to do and more about dealing with our emotional blocks that get in the way of us doing that. So this is our job, not just for 2019, but always, of clearing out that which is false and embracing and breathing in the truth that's there anyway. It's there anyway. We breathe it in, we feel it, we let it soak into our bones. Clearing out the old, clearing out what's not true, and letting that flow. Because as we clear out what's not true, we're more in alignment with our purpose, we're more in alignment with the intuitive guidance that's guiding us anyway, but we can't hear it because we're going like this. I don't want to hear anything but what I want in the world. I don't want to hear anything else. I want my job in a community mental health center so I can get my hours and support my family. I don't have to think about anything else. We clear that out and just let it flow, let it flow, let it flow. And we are blessed. We are so blessed to have that storehouse of infinite wisdom within us. And part of clearing things out is also trusting that that's there, trusting that we have that spiritual support of the universe. We have so much support. We have so much support, but we still have to listen. The universe is that loving, firm, guiding parent. And we have to be the cooperative, receptive child to listen to that wisdom. So let's get in touch with that warehouse of love, wisdom, knowledge, and grace within us. Embracing it, feeling it, trusting it. Part of having courage is trusting. Trusting that there is no mistake that will ruin us in some way. There's no mistake that will do anything but teach us, show us, provide information that will help us keep going, to help us shift when we need to shift, to help us embrace what we need to embrace. Courage and faith go hand in hand. And in our moments of touching into that heart center, that pulls forth our answers. When we ask, okay, God, what the heck am I supposed to be doing? I'm willing. I'm willing. And where I'm not, help me. Help me clear out those emotions that would keep me stuck, those emotions that would make me not experience and express all that I'm here to experience and express. And breathe that in. That support, that love, that guidance. And we do have a part in that. It doesn't show up on our doorstep. Sometimes it does, but it's only because we've taken our steps. Thank you, God. We are willing. We are willing to do our part. I am willing to do my part. Together, I am willing to do my part. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. When we breathe in that feeling of being blessed and knowing how blessed we are, blessed to be here together, to be here where it's warm, safe. Just breathe that in, feel it moving in and through your body, in and through every cell and atom of your body and the space around you. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. And it's from this gratitude, this blessed state, that we embrace our next step. And that next step is that which is in front of us to do. That which we know is ours to do. Reaching out, letting go, embracing a new venture, whatever that step is for each one of us. That which is inside of us shows us how to move through it. We are blessed to have inside of us a storehouse of love, wisdom, knowledge, and grace. That storehouse is connected and one with that storehouse of the universe that contains everything. In the center of our hearts is that storehouse. Feel that. In the center of your heart right now, feel that full and rich storehouse containing everything you need. And your only job is to enter and ask. Of all of this infinite blessing, this abundance of wisdom, what do I need to know for my step right now? What do I need to know for my step right now? And then we get quiet and listen. Allow ourselves to be downloaded to receive that information that we've asked for in the stillness of our hearts. So let's take a moment and listen. Ask your question, however you'd like to phrase it. What is it that I need for my step that's right in front of me? What do I need to know? What do I need to do? And then listen. And listening to that inner voice isn't about getting an answer right now. It's about allowing ourselves to be open and infiltrated from within. Allowing that light of awareness, that light of knowledge, to fill every cell of our bodies. that something will come forth into our conscious awareness when it's needed, maybe when we're least expecting it. It will be there. That infinite light of the universe that we are part of shines light on our answers, and then it's ours to embrace those answers and put them into action. That's the process. We are so blessed. We are so blessed to know about this infinite storehouse within. We are so blessed to be able to practice every day, touching in with that wisdom and applying it to our day, watching the movement and life of the universe come into action. And for these answers, for our own willingness to ask the question, we are so blessed. We are so grateful. And we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. So it is.